normally, there is a form of music that we call chamber music. It means that it's played by a small number of instruments. Usually, it starts with a trio, quartet, quintet, sextet, and so on. And usually, if it's a trio, it can be a piano trio, which means there will be a piano, a violin, and a cello. Although, of course, you can have other kinds of trio combinations. It can be any combination as long as there are three instruments, it's a trio. If it's a piano quartet, there's a piano, a violin, a viola, cello, four, and so on. So this one is, I call it a new genre, because genre means a kind of classification of music. Because formerly in our country, we had never seen anything like this, of a piano concerto being accompanied by a small group of instruments. It was always piano by a huge orchestra, or piano with second piano, which I did hundreds, over 500 concerts with Maestro Reyes all over the country. So that was the very, very big thing I did with my piano concertos. And finally, the third kind of combination that I have done is this, what I call new genre. Soloist piano concertos playing with small number of instruments. So that closes our orchestra development program. So for an interlude, I would like to share with you an interview by Lisa Macuja and Lisa. As you know, she is our prima ballerina, one of the best, if not the best, Filipina ballet dancer. But she's not just a ballet dancer, she's everything. She's a lot of things. She's a producer, show producer, and she has a radio and television show. She has done outreach concerts. She has done also very, very, very much about bringing music to the general public everywhere. Plus, of course, she was an international artist because she trained in Russia. So she's one of our biggest personalities in the arts. She's a ballet dancer, and at this time, this was 2010, so that's 4 years ago, I was one of the persons she interviewed. She had a weekly program interviewing artists for 1 hour over TV, several segments. And I chose a segment here that was talking. She had asked me a question about my concerts with Professor Reyes. So my answer here in that little segment somehow will explain some of the things and my views and feelings about my concerts with Professor Reyes.
Now let's talk about your romantic piano concerto journey tours with Maestro Reynaldo Reyes. Balita namin around 400 performances na daw ang nagawa ninyo all over the country. That is no mean feat. Ano po ang kasama sa programang ito? And of course, how can schools and organizations who are interested to invite you to perform contact you?
Unang-una, Lisa, it took me 1 year to decide whether kaya kong gawin yung orchestra development program, yung 1991. Because I thought that if I took it on, I would need at least 10 years to develop something worthwhile.
Yes.
So I thought that the personal sacrifice from me would have to be not to play the piano for 10 years. So after 1 year, I decided, okay, I'll do it. I won't play the piano myself for 10 years, except as directly related to my development of the youth. So, nung natapos itong Cebu Youth Symphony Orchestra sa 1995, nag-evolve ng Peace Philharmonic sa year 2000, hindi ako nagpa-piano. Yung 6 months bago matapos yung program, kinausap ko na yung maestro ko, si Maestro Reynaldo Reyes. Sinabi ko, almost 10 years na matatapos na itong project at hindi ako nakapiano at talagang gusto kong maging pianist ulit. Pwede ba magkagawa tayo ng project? At gustong-gusto ko, kailangan nationwide, gusto kong outreach at gusto kong educational yung project natin. 2 pianos tayo. And I wanted to focus on the romantic piano concerto because that's where I felt I was strongest in, where I had enough to start with, but there were enough concertos that I didn't know that I could grow out to. So we started with that, and I started contacting the deans of schools and everyone, everywhere, friends in all the provinces outside, wherever I knew anybody, introduced the program, went on personal visits, explained what it was, and told them what we wanted to do. And so Mr. Reyes used to come every summer of his, because he's based in the States, every June, July. And I requested him to come also 2 weeks in January para magiging biannual yung tours namin. So yun ang nangyari. Isa pagkatapos ng yung orchestra, na-launch na yung orchestra, umpisa kami agad ng January 2001, yung biannual tours namin. At ganyan ang ginawa namin. Every January, 2 weeks, and then July, August, 2 months.
To clock more than 400 performances, what do you do? 2 performances, 3 performances in one day?
Sometimes, yes. And my record was we played 7 different concertos in one day. But very often we played 4, 5, 6 concertos. But during the days where we had to travel far away, we went up to Banaue, Baguio, Ilocos, all over Luzon, Tagupan, Bicol, and all. When we needed travel time, then we would have 1 day travel time, and then we would have 2 concerts the next day travel time, another 2 concerts the next day. So it was combined like that.
Logistically, I'm interested, when you travel, do you travel with the pianos?
In Luzon, yes, we did. So we traveled with my 2 baby grands most often, and we were like a circus caravan. We had our own. We hired a truck and 8 moving men. We had 4 vehicles, and
Siyempre kasama niyo yung piano
kasama yung
tuner.
Kailangan na kailangan yun.
But touring locally, hindi ba kayo nahirapan maghanap ng venue na hindi titilaok ang manok, or hindi, hindi biglang aandar yung motorsiklo to ruin the moment of the music?
Kasama na yun, Lisa, kasi ganun ang sitwasyon sa bayan natin. At marami ng mga concert namin, yung iba sa basketball court, marami sa gyms, iba sa parks, marami sa school auditoriums. Maganda yung sa school auditoriums kasi medyo enclosed. But we took everything as it came.
Yeah.
I felt that by sharing this particular segment of an interview with Lisa Sala, which was aired over television, would carry weight and significance because it was spontaneous, my answers were spontaneous, and her questions were very pointed, which led to the explanation of some of the concert tour activities that we did and circumstances that we had to undergo.